Hi, so our group chose the current event of Hawaii schools receiving $54 million in federal funds. So to summarize this, Hawaii public schools are going to receive $54 million in federal funding to help support the low-income students for the school year 2020 to 2021. And so basically it's intended to go to the Title I schools, which is like the low income, more students with low income. And stated by Senator Schatz, these funds can help cover costs of teacher training, new technology, and course materials. And stated by KITV, a total of $54 million is in funding will be given directly to local education agencies to provide extra academic support at schools where large numbers of students live in poverty. So like I said, Title I schools. And the money is divided into the 4 counties. So Hawaii County is going to get $14.4 million. The Honolulu County is going to get $32.9 million. The Kauai County is going to get $1.9 million, and then the Maui County is going to get $4.7 million. So the next question is, how will the money be used? So like I said, it's going to be divided into the different counties, and it will also be used in Title I schools to help with the extra academic support for the low poverty students.
Principle 1 entails holding one another educators to the same ethical standard. So the article describes how new federal funding can be used for teacher professional development in local schools. So basically, with this new federal funding that the schools are going to be given, it can help in training the teachers to hold kind of like the first principle in place. The third principle talks about how it's important to promote health and safety and the well-being of the students. So with this new federal funding, local schools can now do this by getting appropriate resources with this new funding that they are going to get. The fourth principle states that the professional educator promotes positive relationships and effective interactions with members of the school community while maintaining appropriate boundaries or professional boundaries. And so the new federal funding means local schools will have more resources for students from low-income families. So now they may be able to like put on fundraisers or like get games so that like the families can come and help with the school fundraiser to raise even more money, things like that. So it would really get the community involved in a professional way. And as teachers use the funding for like technological resources, they will have to make sure they're using appropriate boundaries of time, place, and like roles that are administrated through the technology resources that they're going to be using. Like, for example, Zoom is how we're doing classes right now. So like, it's important not to misuse the technology that schools use, you know. And by being given the federal funding means that they'll have more opportunities to incorporate like even more technology and learning.
Hi, I will be covering the significance of this event, why should we care, and how it affects me and others as well. So this event is huge. It comes with many benefits and opportunities. I think the most important people that will benefit are the children or students. This opens up so much curricular opportunities for students, especially those who come from low-income families, areas, communities, all that stuff. And I think this will also help teachers and staff tremendously by increasing their teaching strategies, their trainings, their resources, abilities, all of that, supplies, all of that good stuff. And it's super important to care about something like this because it comes with so much opportunities and benefits, and it just creates chances for students. So as me and we as future educators who are preparing the next generation, so these students, we're preparing them for life overall and just life outside of school, and we want to make sure that we help them as much as we possibly can. And I think with this funding, it'll definitely lead us as teachers in the right direction, knowing that we have all these great training supplies. We have all these great things that we can help use and teach our students so that we prepare them for the future. The second bullet that I will be covering is America has traditionally used local funding sources for schools. However, over the last 50 years, the portion of federal funding has increased. So, the funding of elementary and secondary schools in the United States involves a combination of local, state, and federal government revenues in proportions that vary substantially both across and within states. So, according to the Congressional Research Service, as of August 2019, state governments provide 47% of these revenues, local governments provide 44.8%, and the federal governments provide the remaining 8.3%. Over the last several decades, the share of elementary and secondary education revenues provided by state governments has increased, the share provided by local governments has decreased, and the federal share has varied within a range of 6% to 12.7%. And so the primary source of local revenues for elementary and secondary education is the property tax, while state revenues are raised from a variety of sources, primarily personal and corporate income and retail taxes, a variety of excise taxes, as those on tobacco products and alcoholic beverages, and obviously lotteries only coming in several states.
One question about the federal funds Hawaii schools are receiving is if the schools have to agree to some mandate from the federal government in return for receiving this money. There is not much information available to the public about the details of this specific funding. However, we know the money comes from the Title I program. This program has specific regulations and requirements in order to be considered for grants. There does not seem to be anything the schools need to do after receiving the funds besides regulating what the money is used for. The money is provided for services that improve the teaching and learning of children at risk and not meeting academic achievement requirements. So hopefully with the additional funds, more students will meet academic achievements. Another question we had was how will the money reach low-income students? Representative Tulsi Gabbard announced that the $54 million Hawaii will be receiving is part of the Title I, Part A federal aid. The funding will go directly to schools with higher numbers of low-income students. The Hawaii Department of Education actually considers 47.39% of students in Hawaii to be economically challenged in 2019 and 2020. The money is to help improve the teaching and learning opportunities for these students.